It's the Al Travis Show. Our next guest, lucky to have him. He's Representative Walter Hudson. Representative, how you doing, sir?
Good. How are you?
Frustrated, to be quite honest. It's good for me, the way things are going currently with everything that's going on, because it doesn't seem to be an off season, right? I mean, this would be a downtime. We'd hope the Twins are doing better, but stuff happens in the state of Minnesota constantly here, and we got to discuss it. I'm happy to have you. Just one quick programming note, if I can. I want folks to know that Senator John Hoffman's coming on the program 1 hour from now. He's going to come on the program. He'll be back. He has his regular spot. I want people to know about it. Last week he thought he would make it, and he didn't, but it looks like we got him for this today. So just on program note. On that same side, so much going on that if you read, what is it, The Take, right, Blois Olson's deal, the idea that Senator Mitchell on Friday gets found guilty of both counts, right? It's already like the 34th story or something on the list. There's just so much more important things to discuss. I find this under the fold, I should say, maybe if you want to use that expression. It's down their ways. Your thoughts on Senator Mitchell being found guilty? Is anyone shocked?
Well, nobody should be. It would have been incredibly shocking if there was any other result. I mean, the evidence was overwhelming from day one, which is why it was so utterly ridiculous that the Senate Ethics Committee, chaired by Senate President Bobby Joe Champion at the time, failed to remove her from office. She clearly was engaged in conduct unbecoming the institution, unbecoming her office. And the fact that in order to retain a one-vote majority for a handful of days at the end of the second year of a term, when most of the work had already been completed, the budget was finished. I mean, it would have cost them next to nothing other than their pride.
Yeah.
They, instead of doing that, which we wouldn't be talking about Nicole Mitchell anymore if they had done that, they would have had a special election in the interim. Her seat would have been filled. This year would have gone by pretty much the same as it has, more or less. The fact that they chose to keep her around for over a year, and now they're trying to play like, they're trying to save face and act reasonable by calling on her to resign. You had the opportunity to kick her out multiple times.
Well, they did originally call for her to resign after the first session was over, but then she said, no, I was going to push the thing back. She got to push back to the next session, and then it's like, no more calls for resignation. We needed her number. What gets me about this, if I'm not mistaken, you tell me if I am, what would make her, well, two things first. This show has said from the beginning, we really hope she had that answer, right? When this all first started, she said, you wait till you hear what really went on, and you're going to understand why I did what I did. And I was seriously hoping that she didn't put all of us through this, especially her family, for the last year and a half with the big lie, right? I did it as a welfare check. It had been something else. Well, after the very first day, when her side stood up to give their side of the argument, it was like, she was just checking on mom. I knew it was over. It was like, you got to be kidding me. But now, if you're going to do that, and I presume she's already lost her command ship job with the Air Force Reserves or whatever. I presume they've already taken that from her. This is about all she's got is her paycheck from the Senate. This is as far as I can tell. That's what she does. She does not have to resign this seat. No. They can't get rid of her unless a special session is called, and then, who knows what's going to go on. She obviously, and then they could vote to get rid of her. Never happened in the state of Minnesota. What keeps this young lady from saying, I'm going to keep getting paid? And can I ask you this? Maybe that's a good question for everybody. Do you get paid on the monthly? Do you get paid bi-weekly? How does your checks come in?
I don't know if the Senate does it the same way as the House, but the House is monthly. All
right. So what would stop this woman from saying, all right, I'm going to push this thing out, wait until they come in February, right? You all don't get back until February. She can grab another 5 months worth of checks.
Yeah, no, she absolutely can. And part of the reason for that is because the Democrats, when they had the trifecta, changed the law so that felons who are not incarcerated can vote. And in order to be eligible for public office in the state of Minnesota, all you need is to be eligible to vote. So there is no legal mechanism to automatically remove her from office now, thanks to what the Democrats did. I mean, this is a 100% Democrat-created mess from start to finish.
Yeah. So, again, back to her situation, The governor can do nothing. So if she waited until February, because now she's going to go, let's just say she goes scorched earth on this bad boy. First day of session, great. Well, vote to kick her out. Then the governor can come out and ask for a special election to fill her seat, right? You can be halfway through next session before you get past the 33-33 tie or a 67-67. Nothing's going to, she can muddle this up for the better part of another year.
Well, and that is the practical reason why there may indeed be, and I have not heard anything about this, but there may indeed be a special session for the exclusive purpose of kicking her out, because for the same reason that the Democrats drugged this out for a year and a half, they now have a sense of urgency to get her out of the office, because if that happens, then they're in a tie in both chambers for at least half the session, as opposed to coming in with retaining potentially their 34-33 majority in the Senate.
Well, let's play this.
Their priorities are going to suddenly flip, and it's going to be extraordinarily obvious what their motivation was the entire time.
Well, let's play this out a little bit. So the governor has said he wanted a special session because the big, beautiful bill is going to upset the balanced budget, yada, yada. So he wants it. And why wouldn't he? Now, they say he told a reporter in South Dakota he's not running for presidency. But even if he was, he gets the press and the notoriety saying Trump's trying to kill us in Minnesota. I'm going to save us. Good for Walz. Now, if he's running for governor, there's still a good PR play for him to get a special session. But this gums that all up. He can't call for a special session because the first move the Senate will do is get rid of Mitchell. And now you have it tied 33-33 and 67-67. It's literally a tie. The Republicans have the ability, if I'm not mistaken, you guys can say, I'd like to put this up for a vote. I'd like to put this up. And all of a sudden you guys are in. It doesn't just have to be about whatever he wants to get fixed, right? He's going to open it up to Dameth having half the cards.
Yeah, it would be very sticky, because as I understand it, the Senate would govern the process of the Mitchell situation, right? And they still have that majority, right? So they can decide when and how and if they're going to take action on Mitchell. Meanwhile, you've got us in the House, who we could potentially, as a caucus, take the stance that we're not going to do anything as long as the scale is still there. I don't know how that would all play out. But it'd be messy.
Messy. They could not, the Democrats would self-implode if they said, well, we got to get this thing passed for the governor. He wants to change $1 billion from the big ugly bill. We won't we won't kick her out until after she votes for that. Could the Democrats get by with that? There's no way. Then the second that gets done, then the next vote is, by the way, we're getting rid of Mitchell. That would be, that'd be crazy. Could they pull that off? Oh, wow.
Well, I wouldn't put it past him to try. I mean, I put nothing past them. Look at what they've done. Look at what they've done. Look at how they've handled this situation. There is nothing from the conduct that they've exhibited from the moment that this happened that suggests for even one moment that they would do something because it's honorable, decent, good, and right. Everything is about power. And now they've got themselves in a situation where they're between a rock and a hard place when it comes to power. And I don't know how they react when choice A and choice B both leave them without the power that they desire. I don't know which way they're going to go.
Yeah, back them into a corner, see what happens. Just real quick, the Hortman seat and then the Mitchell seat. I've read that the Hortman seat at one time really was a toss-up. Now, everybody loved Hortman. I'm not ripping her at all. Is that a gimme for the Democrats? And Woodbury, is that a gimme for them as well? Is there a chance that those switch when the special elections come up?
Well, there's always a chance, right? I think Woodbury, it's more likely simply because in both cases, the circumstances of the vacancies benefit one party or the other. So the fact that Mitchell, the situation was handled the way that it was, provides a lot of ammunition for whatever Republican candidate emerges in that district. And on the flip side, in Hortman's district, the sentiment around what happened to her is likely going to give a boost to whoever the Democrat is.
Sure, fair enough. I like the idea that, boost to whose side and who depends who runs for the Republicans. I want to talk about the running of Republicans coming up on the other side of the break. I've got him, Representative Walter Hudson, on the Al Travis Show.
It's nice to know a guy that knows a guy. Al Travis.
We've got him, Representative Walter Hudson, on the program. Love talking with him today. Sir, you talked about depending who the Republicans put up in like Woodburn. Let me throw this out at you real quick. Does it really matter in Minnesota? I was up in the cities yesterday for a gathering with the family, and the conversation turned to this Senator Fateh. I believe that's how you pronounce it. He had the Fateh maneuver. For folks who don't know this guy, he's the one who just shut everything down when the Democrats had everything in charge, would not give him the vote that they needed so that he could get by the Uber bill, right? He had a thing he wanted to get, and he will shut it down. He calls himself a democratic socialist. He just won the endorsement for the mayor of Minneapolis. The Republicans are having a hard time putting anybody up in any kind of real positions to run against these folks, and they're putting democratic socialists up, and they're gaining. Is Minnesota moved that far left?
Well, and the entire Democratic Party has moved that far left. I mean, nationwide. I mean, you got Zoran Memdani in New York City, same story. And the Democrats have gotten themselves in a position where those among them at all levels who have any degree of reasonability or moderation are not in control. They're not at the helm. They are being led around by the nose by the Democrat socialists, by the craziest of the crazies, and this is what we have to work with.
So if you have and two things on this as I understand it. Fry lost that nomination process both in 2017 and 21. He came in second place. But Minneapolis has that crazy ranked choice voting thing that happens, and that's how he got it. So, I mean, he's got this weird backup plan that everybody will say we want Fry if we don't want this guy, and he might end up still getting this thing. But what I don't get about it, and what my family I was getting from them, is that you get to a tipping point. If folks will say in Minneapolis, I want a socialist, it's the biggest city in the state. This goes down to where you went with the smoking. Then St. Paul jumped in, then Duluth jumped in, then Rochester jumped in. All of a sudden, you can't smoke anywhere in the state. Are we going down a road we can't turn back from? And your mic went muted again, by the way. There you go.
No, I don't think it's a road we can't turn back from, but it is deeply serious. People need to recognize the seriousness of this extremism. I mean, that word gets tossed around cheaply, extremes, and people talk about it with this moral equivocation as if there's a moral equity between people who just want their boys and girls to go to separate bathrooms and people who want to seize the means of production. There's no moral equivocation there. The extreme on one side is I want peace and decency and justice and my kids to be able to play in the street. That's the extreme on our side.
Yeah, you crazy nut jobs.
The extreme on their side is we want to run the grocery stores and tell you how much you get paid and how much you have to pay. I mean, we have a serious problem here in terms of what's going on in the Democrat Party. And the only way we're going to be able to deal with it is to defeat them, is to make them unelectable. That's the task that's before us.
Okay, and then that is exactly what leads us to our last conversation. Minnesota seems to have a very hard time finding good candidates as Ryan. I'm not trying to offend those that are in. Scott Jensen's back in. Kendall Walz is back in. We have some names, but for the most part, again, back to my family, they might know the name, don't know a whole lot about them, and this is what we got going in. They just did a big report in the Take this morning about how much all the other Democrats have raised already, and we have no real Minnesota Republican that's in leading the charge. Is our bench that light?
It would seem so.
Why are you smiling with that? Duckworth's out. Coleman is out. I mean, even those who you might have thought got in will get in. Is this going to take a Jesse Ventura-like person, business guy or something, to get in and say, I'll throw everything into the wind? Because, sir, when's been a better time to defeat the Democrats? You got a second term who might want his third term governor, who has one bad press day after the next. You've got a state of Minnesota where education is going completely in the wrong direction. We're spending more money than we've ever spent. You get democratic socialists that are running. Is this not prime time for a Republican to step up and say, I'll do this. I'm willing to risk it all to save the state?
Well, and that last part is the bit. I'm going to risk it all. Because that's what you're asking. That's what you're asking somebody to do. Yeah. So it's a little bit like saying there's never been a better day to go surfing. Yeah, sure, but can you surf? Like, do you have what it takes? Right? Yeah. You need a certain fundamentals at your disposal in order to take on
Money.
that task.
You need the ability to say, if I lose, I can still move on in my life.
Yeah.
Because to do this, you got to give up 24/7 for the better part of 18 months to get the gig.
Right. And the other side of the coin is you say, the environment's so great. Well, that adds to the risk in essence, because if you can't beat him under these circumstances, then what does that say about you? Right. So that's what people have to consider is do I have the juice? Do I have the ability to raise the money? Is it even possible to put together an infrastructure in a state where the Republican Party is in complete disarray and has no centralized authority or infrastructure, and you've got all these rogue groups everywhere throughout the state that are doing their own thing and think that their mission is to fight Republicans rather than elect them? I mean, the Republican Party in Minnesota is a complete disaster. And so, anybody who's looking at that prospect of trying to run statewide is going to be running uphill. It's going to be like that old thing that parents used to say to their kids. You're going uphill back and forth to school and from, right? It's uphill both ways because you're going up against the Democratic machine, and you're also going against your own people who hate you because, you're not whatever it is they want you to be.
Far enough right. Yeah. Amen.
Yeah.
So do you see a sunny side of this street? Do you see that there's either a big enough wave? Do you think somebody's still laying in the woods? Are you positive about the state of Minnesota?
I'm positive about the potential, but things have to manifest. I've been saying that the only way our side fixes this state at this point is if a centralizing, mobilizing, calcifying figure, somebody who can bring the coalition together, somebody who has enough gumption to build their own organization, basically a statewide campaign, preferably for governor, has to become what the party isn't, and then take over the party after a victory and reset this whole game board. That's the only way this is going to work. Is there needs to be somebody with Trump-like juice, somebody who can bring in money, who can get the attention, who can draw the eyes, because that's the thing. I talked to a gal at an event recently over the weekend who said she was considering running for governor, and we had this interesting conversation about resources. And she's like, "Well, why do you need all this money?" And it's like, well, because I don't care if you're Mother Teresa. If you don't have the ability to convey your message, all the Democrats are going to do is paint you as whatever they want to call you, whatever they want to claim you've done or said. And if you can't push back, if you can't establish who you are up front to the public, then they're going to define you for you. And that's the problem.
We're out of time. I got to fly. I love having you on, Representative. Appreciate you being here. Representative Walter Hudson on the Al Travis Show.